everybody, and welcome to Wine Library TV. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the. What? I don't even remember. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wine Library TV. Yep, ready?
Yep.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, GaryVee, Nerd Chuck, and this is episode 1003, D-Rock? 3 of The Thunder Show, aka the internet's most passionate wine program. And isn't this fantastic? And you gotta beep that, D-Rock, because I don't curse on The Thunder Show. A lot of things have changed through that half decade of doing this show every day, 5 days a week. I mean, 5 years, and we got 1,000 shows in it, and I only did it Monday through Friday, so I was consistent. I miss so many of you, all the Vaniacs out there, and welcome to all the new people. I'm sure the team. It is not Eric Kastner. It is not Chris Mott. To clear that up, that was not my mother, Ma. I was saying Mott. It is D-Rock in the building, who, if you watched my transition after Wine Library TV in business and entrepreneurial land, has been by my side for a long time, and we are excited to do episode 1003. If you look back at episode 1001 or 1002, I ended at episode 1000. I talked about doing these occasionally, and like Barbara Walters specials, and I'll do them 4 times a year. Well, I think it's the first episode I'm doing in 4 years, so a lot's been going on. The Jets continue to struggle. We are 0-10 in this season, so I know that, you know, it was really funny. The episodes of Wine Library TV were during some good years of Jets football. It's been rough. We have not made the playoffs now for 10 straight years, so maybe I should start doing Wine Library TV again, because 06 to 11 was like a great run of Jets football. Maybe that's actually the missing part. Maybe Wine Library TV is the key to Jets good football. Anyway, everyone's good. Thank you so much to all of you that have signed up for Wine Text. That's the big innovation back at the shop. VaynerMedia and all this other stuff has happened. There's plenty to catch up on, but I don't want to take up this time. What I want to do is do this holiday episode. If nothing else, I can do this once a year to talk about holiday wine, what's going on in the wine world. So many of you know I started a brand called Empathy Wines. We sold it to Constellation. That's been exciting. And since I've last left you, I've been more and more into wine. I drink more wine. When I was doing Wine Library TV, I never had wine at dinner. It was so much my profession. I never drank wine at dinner. I now drink wine all the time at dinner. And I've been more into the wine world as a consumer. And a lot of things have changed. For example, why we chose wine number 1, and I'm excited to taste it, is, as many of you may remember, and this is the PHIFER PAVIT Date Night Sauvignon Blanc 2018 Napa Valley. $20 to $30 depending on where you buy it from. 91 points, Wine Spectator. Talk about a fun wine to start with. During my great and fun and amazing 5-year run on Wine Library TV, I'm sorry, the Jets bucket is around. Today we have like a coffee grinder spittoon, but we will find the Jets bucket if we get this going. Talk about something that has changed, in my opinion, and the markets. I, along with the American consumer during 2006 to 2011, my golden year of Wine Library TV, were not about that Napa Valley or California Sauvignon Blanc. As a matter of fact, I think I famously, at least to myself, said that it was that all the Sauvignon Blanc in California should be ripped up and replanted a different grape. That's how down I was. That's how high I was on Sancerre and New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. And that's just how I felt. Over the last 18 months, I've been stunned by my overall appreciation for California Sauvignon Blanc. I think the style has evolved, more balanced, less sugary, less goopy. The wine world itself has gone and followed a lot of food and health trends. If you look at kind of like clean eating, kind of vegan life, like just really not, you know, just actually being thoughtful about what you're putting in your body. You look at the natural wine craze, you look at the alcohol levels in wine coming down in California, more balance, and it's been really interesting and fun to watch. And you know, it's funny, I'm curious how I'm gonna review this wine. I hope I don't pan it. And I'm happy to, as you know. For everybody who's watching, I'm excited for one of these wines to get some heat. Or we could go 4 for 4, we could go for 4, you never really know. But I wanna say before I get into the wine, in case I don't like this one, California Sauvignon Blanc has made a tremendous comeback in overall consumption, and has been something I've been lately fond of. And this is a tremendous, consistent producer, so let's give it a sniffy sniff. On the nose, I get a little bit of like oyster shell, you know, very fresh, very, you know, sea, ocean life. I get a hint of melon, call it cantaloupe on the nose. Little hint of lemon and lime coming through. So, you know, the classic oysters and cantaloupe with a little Sprite poured on top of it. Nice nose. Let's give it a whirl. Gorgeous acidity throughout this wine. A banana peel meets Granny Smith apple, mid palate. Huge acid on the finish. I still am tasting it. Gorgeous acidity. Now, why is acidity important? When I taste this wine, I know I can use it to cut through a lot of seafoods, scallops, oysters, clams. You get into that seafood life. Even, I'm thinking lobster tail in butter. But this wine has the acidity cut through and match that wine, not be overpowered by the food, but the wine itself is balanced and won't overpower the wine. No alcohol in the flavor, beautiful apple. I really get the Granny Smith apple on this. Beautiful finish. If you just like a nice fresh salad, I think this wine would pair extremely well. At 20 to 30 bucks, a really strong value. Doesn't have the minerality of a great Sancerre that I'm a fan of in that $30, $40 range. But this stands up and this continues the momentum that I told you. Spectator gave it 91 points. To me, this is a 90 pointer as well. I'll give it 90 plus. Being a little tough against the Spectator right now. But this is a beautiful Sauvignon Blanc. And if you can find it under 20, this can get into case wine life during the summer. This is really nice. If you're watching, I don't know if we're putting this out or what are we doing? When are we putting it out?
We should do it before Thursday, no?
Yeah, I mean, if we put this out on Monday or Tuesday of next week and you can pick up this wine for Thanksgiving if they have it in your local store, this is a perfect stuffing. This is a perfect aperitif when you have people over. Not a whole lot of people over during COVID, but this is a tremendous pool time wine. Like this is summer in a bottle. Beautiful wine. Nice complexity, great start. I'm glad. I feel like one of those episodes, D-Rock on one of my comeback episodes, 101 or 102, all the wines didn't do well or something. I felt like a real Debbie Downer. Like that, you know, remember her face? But, you know, like real Debbie Downer. But let's get into this wine. I've been hearing huge hype about this. Marnent, Campbell Ranch Pinot Noir, 92 points wine Spectator, 50 bucks, Sonoma Coast Pinot. I think I had this, you know, it's funny that they put this in the box. I thought I did this for a monthly wine club. If you haven't signed up for my Wine of the Month club, go to WineLibrary.com. I thought, I mean, be hearing so much about Marnent in general. There's a dark horse chance I've had this wine already. Let's see if I'm consistent. So everybody's part of the wine club, dig up the videos. I don't recall. This just, Pinot Noir, if you remember, this is why I have the Pinot and the Barolo. In the heyday of my 2006-2011 Wine Library TV, Pinot was exploding, Burgundy was exploding, and I was talking about Barolo being the next thing to explode. Well, sure enough, you know, I like a good Monday morning quarterback. Here we are 9-10 years later, and we nailed that. Barolo exploded in value. We were so on it. I hope a lot of you followed me back then and loaded up on Barolo. Barolos you could buy for 40, 60 bucks back then, are now $300-400 a bottle. It changed, and so I thought it'd be fun to have here, and it's some super culty California wine that I know for the holidays, buy for your boss, buy for yourself, kind of buy for Christmas and all the other holiday dinners. So we have a big insignia to wrap us up, but the Barolo is here for that reason, and we have a Pinot for that reason. These are the two bookend wines since I've been missing you. This was the exploding wine that emerged, Pinot, sideways, I don't drink Merlot, all that. And Barolo has become the fancy of the wine world in the last 5 to 10 years. So excited about this. Marnent, single vineyard, Campbell Ranch, beautiful nose, little bacon fat, huge strawberries, just gorgeous strawberry fields forever. Wow. Wow. since I've last left you, I've had the luxury of traveling the world quite a bit and staying in some really, 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 really fancy hotels. This wine's silkiness is like the nicest, silkiest sheets from the most expensive Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons you can imagine. Just silk all the way through, beautiful red fruit, raspberries, strawberries throughout. I get a little rose petal on the mid palate and a wonderful beef jerky-like premium beef jerky. This is not Macho Man Randy Savage, Slim Jim, ooh yeah, beef jerky. This is the really expensive $38 at the fancy food show beef jerky on the mid palate. Comes together in this incredible $50 Pinot Noir that, in my opinion, rivals $100 red Burgundies that I have every day of the week, AKA 15 times a year. This is extraordinary. 92 points Wine Spectator, whereas I thought the Spectator was a half a point high here. I think they're 2 full points low here. To me, this is a 94 point Pinot Noir, and anything and anywhere you can get it under 50 is a humongous buy. You're probably gonna see this wine if you write it down on a restaurant list at a good wine program more than you're gonna find it online or at a retailer. But 50. I mean, if you can get this for less than $1.50 a bottle on a wine list, it is your wine of the night. This is drinking great now, but if you go out and find this 2018 vintage wine and you're really into Pinot, and there it is, 13.8. This is the beauty. I'm telling you, the wines have come back to balance since I left. If you know, some of these were 15.5s, Pinots, too much alcohol, too much makeup, too much the world's gone extravagant. You know, you go on Instagram, it's a little bit glammed up, it's a little bit fake life, but the wines have come back to match our food life, cleaner, simpler, realer, and I like that. 94 points on this wine. This is a steal to me. Pick it up if you can find it. If you drink Sea Smoke, Costa Brown, Rocchioli, like this is a real, that's a beast of a wine. Really good. All right, I'm super excited about this. COPPO, 2015 Barolo, really fun vintage, $30 to $40, 90 points wine enthusiast, 13.5 alcohol. Big fan of this producer, have always been. Loved the late 90 versions, early 2001 of this wine. Really excited about this 15. I've always liked this winery a lot. Now, as you can see, color's a little different. Not as pitch black as some wines. You're gonna see this color that you're gonna see just black. This is more brownish and red. I love that. I love that copper. I love Barolo. Nebbiolo based, which is the grape. Not the kind of nose I would have expected from this wine, to be honest. A little tight. I've had some 15 Barolos that have been more exciting on the nose. Yeah, a little disappointing. Let me warm it up a little. But tight. Like, I used oysters earlier. You know that oyster that's not fully open, and you're always wondering with your friends, like, but it's kind of open. Like, should we eat it? And you're kind of like, you're kind of a little scared. You're like, it didn't open, so maybe that's a problem. You know what I'm talking about, right? D-Rock with the clay. You know, I'm always the one that's like, I'll go there. This is probably why I throw up sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning from food poisoning. But like, you know, most people pass. That's what's going on here. This is like a tight little clam, and it may not be worth entering. Disappointment alert. Disappointment alert. A winery that I've loved for years. A vintage I love. A wine I just hyped up for a minute before we got here. This wine is wildly underwhelming. Has completely missed my expectations. This is like somebody you hired for your business that you think is going to come in and change the course of your company, and you realize by week 2 you need to fire their sorry ass. This is a sorry ass wine. 90 points wine enthusiast is completely overrated. Even at the inexpensive $30 to $35 that this Barolo can be, this is not exciting. Shockingly thin, like kind of like when you see your friend post-COVID and they were working out and eating well the whole year, shockingly thin. This wine needs a lot more complexity. Wow, this is really not good. You know, I'm a little rusty, but this to me is an 84 point wine. It's a major pass with 7 Z's, P-A-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z. This is, I've had a shocking amount of wine under $15 a bottle in the last 2 years that blows this wine away. Do not pick this up, do not buy this. Alert your friends, take a screenshot, text them. This is a bad wine. Things can change quick here, D-Rock. That was
Pretty tough.
Yeah, it was rough, man. It was not, this is not a good wine. One man's point of view, trust your own palate. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to the Wine Spectator or Robert Parker or your favorite sommelier. Listen to yourself. That being said, I've tasted a lot of wine in my life. That's some All right, the big dog. Joseph Phelps Insignia 2014. An iconic wine, 97 points James Suckling, 97 points Wine Advocate. 87% Cabernet, 9% Petit Verdot, 2% Cabernet Franc, 2% Malbec, $200 a bottle, if you can even find one. Really excited about this. 1994 Joseph Phelps Insignia. This wine put me on the map. The 1994 of this wine was a wine that I bought an enormous amount of. Everybody in the country was selling it for 60 bucks. I paid $39.99 a bottle, and I bought a $30,000 full-page ad in the New York Times. And in that ad, 80% of the real estate was a picture of this wine, and it said $39.99 on sale. And it was a catapult moment in WineLibrary.com's history. So I will forever have enormous love for Joseph Phelps Insignia. From that moment, it went on to become one of the most iconic. At that point, it wasn't what it is today. It was not on the Opus One, on the Caymus Special. So it was not in that league. But over the last 25 years, it has built itself up to being one of the most significant wines in California. And I'm always so honored and excited to taste it. Great color. Remember I made that reference earlier. You can see the difference. That, you know, light, which is not bad. Light is great. Just because the COPPO wasn't a good wine, in my opinion. I like light. Beaujolais, Pinot Noir, Barolo, I love light. But this is dark, powerhouse wine. Let's give it a sniffy sniff. Now this is another thing that's been interesting about the wine world. This comes across very perfume-oriented, very big flavor, call it like jam. I don't know if you've, you know, if you walked into like an old family, like your grandmother's, you know, kitchen when she made handmade jam. Now, I had a Soviet grandmother, you know, my grandma Esther passed away a couple years ago, my dad's mom, may she rest in peace, but she was an OG. Like she would be like, let's go outside and pick raspberries, get all cut up and crap, come back to the kitchen and like make that jam. And so I remember very authentic, clean, like not go to Whole Foods and buy the raspberry. I mean, go outside or like when you're on the highway driving, there's some like wild raspberries, pull over and pick them. Route St. John we did that with. It's called Svitaboy. Go Google that. That's like that magic tea that my great-grandmother and grandmother believed in the most. Like literally, Grandma, I broke my arm. Drink some Svitaboy. Grandma, I think she has cancer. Drink some Svitaboy. Like it solved everything. So I remember doing a lot of picking in the 80s. This smells like that to me. A kitchen where homemade jam is being made. However, to go to the extreme, in the other direction, it also smells like, do you remember Now and Laters, the candy? There's a candy named Now and Laters, and like they were hard and you would bite them, but like it smells like artificial candy. So this is a really interesting juxtaposition. On one side of the bouquet, I smell that authentic berry, but then I also get a lot of candy. I would, for a more contemporary candy, it smells like a bag of Skittles. So you can feel the fakeness of the candy. Interesting. This is where the wine world has gone a little bit out of, you know, if you watch Wine Library TV in that 5-year, my palate bounced around a lot of these cult wines. I loved them, I hated them. It was like a love-hate kind of thing. It's like dessert. Like sometimes a great piece of chocolate cake is just a good idea. Sometimes after you eat it, you want to punch yourself in the face. That's what's happened with a lot of these California wines. Don't lead the witness, D-Rock. Blackberry, blackcurrant, dark chocolate, high cocoa count. So it's like real chocolate flavors, like not like, yay, let's eat a Kit Kat. No, let's go into like a really healthy store and buy a bar for like $28 because somebody climbed a mountain and picked this and then like brought it back on a propeller plane in a jar. And this is the cacao that makes this $28 wildly overpriced, hand curated chocolate, which is probably good for you and you should probably like it, but it is bitter. That is mixed in with a lot of strawberries and blueberries, blackberries and cherries, black and red fruit in this wine. However, this is really disappointing to say. It is now, after tasting this wine, I'm gonna give it one more second, but this is gonna be a tough statement in my opinion. It is now of my opinion that Joseph Phelps Insignia, and I was a little bit worried. I wanted to try this. It's a really big time wine. The ratings are through the roofs, 96, 97s everywhere. I have had 2 or 3 Insignias since I last left you in the last decade where it really struck me like this wine should really still be $39.99, not $200 a bottle. I'm in my zone right now. Now that was like, I was out and like, I'm in client life now with VaynerMedia, so the client's like, oh, Insignia. I'm like, all right, let's order a bottle of Insignia. So I was very like in business mode, not really analyzing and rating a wine. As I sit here and analyze and rate this wine, and it's funny, this is like riding a bike. I'm really taken aback by this. I believe that Insignia has jumped the shark. Like, I feel like I'm in the Fonz right now, wearing a leather coat on a ramp. But I also feel like I'm your friend that tells you that Santa Claus doesn't exist in 2nd grade. This is a wine that this is crazy that they want $200 for this. When I think about the sheer number of California Cabernets and red blends and wines even from places like Argentina, Maremma, Tuscany, that are $20, $30, $40, $50 a bottle. I would argue that Insignia has now found itself in that classic place of colleges that aren't one of the top 10 in the country where you're gonna spend a ton of money and the diploma's not worth it as much in the real world. Fashion brands that cost $800 for a scarf because it's got the right pattern on it and everyone thinks it's Gucci. And I mean slang term Gucci, not specifically calling out Gucci. This is a wine that is now a status in my opinion. It's known by the big dogs. And I think people are paying at least $100, if not $125, if not $150 too much for this bottle of wine. To me, this is far from a 96 and 97, and it's playing off its pedigree. I think that the world respects the past too much. That doesn't mean disrespect. It means it holds up yesterday instead of looking at today. It's like being emotional about having stores in the world of the internet. It's like being emotional about Instagram when TikTok is emerging. It is like not adjusting to post-COVID life and flying to every meeting in 2024 and not doing Zooms. I think Insignia is holding on to a past of the late 90s and early 2000s. I think this is a $50 to $70 wine at this point. I think this is a 90-point wine, not a 97-point wine. And I think I might even be being kind at 90 points. This is a colossal failure of a wine, in my opinion, if it thinks that it's worth $200 these days. And I'm curious for the comments, and I'll look for the shares, but this is what's wrong about consumer products when you pay for reputation versus what they're putting out. I think there's a lot of wines in California at 40, 50 bucks that are equal to this wine. I really genuinely do. 4 really interesting wines: Cali Blends, Barolo, Pinot, and Sauvignon Blanc. Remember the themes of Wine Library TV before I leave you. Try new things. Trust your own palate. You may disagree with all 4 of my reviews here. Try new things, try new things, try new things. That is how you become great at wine, because you get happiness through it. I wish you all so much health during this holiday season. And remember, I have a question of the day, and so here's my question. Since I last saw you, what has become your favorite wine? Whether it's an exact winery or a type of wine, please leave that in the comments of social media, something that barely existed when we started Wine Library TV. And remember, you, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, whether they like it or not. YouTube watcher, what's up? It's GaryVee. First of all, thank you so much. I hope you're doing super well during these times. I also want to ask you, please subscribe, because my commitment and exploration of YouTube is about to explode. Stories, polls, more content, more engagement, more surprise and delight. This is the time to subscribe. I hope you consider it, and I hope I see you soon.